C5 Insight is a Microsoft Solutions partner, helping organizations succeed in the AI era.
Welcome everyone to a C5 Insight webinar. I am Haley Bachican and I'll be your webinar moderator. In this session, we are comparing Microsoft 365 Copilot versus ChatGPT Enterprise, but we're taking a different approach than doing a feature-to-feature comparison. And we're highlighting the 5 key differences that every business leader needs to know. We will be using interactive polls throughout the webinar, so look out for those to be participating. And we're also going to leave time for Q&A at the end. There will be a Q&A icon at the top of Teams that you can use to submit any questions you may have as we're going through the content, and our speakers will answer them at the end. Now for our introductions. Our speakers today are Tracy Winter, who is the Senior Director of Business Consulting at C5 Insight, and Jeff Abels, CEO and Microsoft MVP at C5 Insight. Without further ado, I will let these guys take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Haley. And thank you everyone for joining us today. So we're going to kick off and I want to start off by saying almost every week, a leader tells us the same thing. We haven't decided on one tool yet. We're still looking between ChatGPT and Copilot. We're still doing the evaluation. On the surface, they look like twins. 100% we agree, we see it. However, they are not. So we boiled it down to 5 differences every business leader should understand before you standardize. A quick word on why we're the ones having the conversation. C5 Insight does one thing. We help organizations turn Microsoft technology into real business results. For the last year, actually 2 years plus, we've been living inside Copilot rollouts, real companies, real users, real adoption numbers, including ourselves. So nothing today is theory. It's what we're seeing in the field week after week. Jeff has been at this for more than 20 years, and I spend my days with the teams using these tools. So you're going to get both views, the strategy and the reality on the ground. So before we jump into the content, I'd love to have a quick poll. Tell me, which AI tool is your organization invested in? Is it Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, other, or none at all, and you're still hoping to figure out the best one? Just giving it a minute. Looks like Copilot is the biggest one. We've got ChatGPT coming in, Claude. They're kind of going side by side on the responses here. So we've got a good majority. We've got about half of the submissions on Copilot. And then the other half is pretty equal to Claude and ChatGPT, which totally understand. I've used both of those outside of Copilot pretty extensively. And they both are great tools as well. But I think we can move on, and I appreciate you all for doing some voting. So let's kick it off. Let's start with the number that stops leaders cold, 81%. That's how many employees are using AI tools at work that their company never approved. There is a name for it. It's called shadow AI. And here's the part that surprises people. It's not the interns. It's the heavy users, or the heavy users are executives and managers. The very people setting strategy are the ones quietly pasting company information into whatever tool they found last week. And it might not be PII, right? Like I don't want to say that the execs and managers are probably putting the, company secrets out there. However, any company information out there is a risk. So it's not, there's a lot of things that we want to make sure to look at, but it's not a fluke. A separate Microsoft study found 78% of knowledge workers are bringing their own AI to work. People are using it in their day-to-day life. Now, you can hear that as a risk, and you would be right, like I said, but listen again, that's demand. Your people are telling you loudly that they want this. So it's a real opportunity, isn't to shut it down, it's to give them AI that's visible, secure, governed, instead of AI you find out about after something goes wrong. So if you want to peel back the 81%, you'll find speed, not defiance. People grab whatever tool finishes the task in front of them. And right now, that's often a free public one. The danger isn't the tool, it's that every session is invisible to you. You can't see what data left the building. You can't audit it, you can't govern it, you can't remove it. Staying still isn't neutral either. The longer it runs unmanaged, the more sensitive information walks out, one prompt at a time. No log, no way to pull it back. That's why the fix is a sanctioned path that's easier than shadow one. Give people something visible, secure, and governed, and the risky workaround simply stops being worth it. So I hear pretty often, we sit with the VP of Finance who swore his team wasn't using AI. Then mid-meeting, he pulls up a board summary and admitted he pasted some of the numbers into a free chat box the night before to tighten up the language. That's the 180%, or that's the 81%. And he had no idea he was the risk. That's the story to tell here. It's not a rebellious intern. It's your most senior people moving fast with your sensitive data. Which brings us to the actual decision in front of you. Your people are already using AI. The only question left is who chose it, you or them? Are they on a platform your organization picked and governed and trust, or one that you're discovering after the fact? Everything we cover today is about making that choice on purpose. The reason this framing matters is that doing nothing is still a choice. It means your people are choosing for you, one sign up at a time. You pick the platform, you get the levers that come with it: identity, data, residency, retention, audit, and the ability to run capabilities off and on by role. When they pick it, you inherit the risk without any control. So this isn't really a technology decision, it's a governance one. And the poll we're about to run shows the room is further towards whatever people want than leader assumes. Use that gap. It's on a starting point for everything that follows. And the longer you wait, the longer they're creating a database of their requests. These tools are learning from them. So every time they use it, it's more and more intelligent on them. So they're more likely to use it. All right, before we go further, let's move on to that poll. All right, how is AI being adopted in your organization today? So standard on one platform, a few tools, whatever people want, not sure, or blocked identity. So we've got a few approved tools is what's coming in hot right away. Standardized on one platform, we have somebody, which is fantastic. Whatever people want, not sure. We're getting a couple. I love the honesty because we were the same, right? Like, and it's just so many out there. And so, you know, what people are doing. I would be surprised if there wasn't more unsure just because of that piece of it. We're still looking, looks like we've got some good standardized, which is fantastic. I love it. A few approved, most of them approved tools, which is good. Still have some more of those unsures. Again, absolutely understandable and completely with like people. There's many organizations are doing the same. So let's move on to the challenge. This is that challenge every leader runs into. On paper, these two tools look nearly identical. Both do natural language chat, both search the web, both create content, summarize, research, analyze, both are helping write code, both have agents. They're enterprise grade, and here's a kicker, both run OpenAI models. So it's like comparing two houses from the listing photos. Same square footage, same bedroom, same granite countertops. On paper, identical. But one is 3 blocks from your kid's school. The other is a 45-minute commute. The spec sheet never tells you which one actually fits your life. Same with these tools. The feature checklist looks identical, but it is missing one thing. To move in a little bit more, I want to talk about why naming the checklist is so seductive. Procurement runs on checklists. So 2 products with the same green ticks look interchangeable on a spreadsheet. And the cheaper and more familiar one usually wins by default. But a feature tells only what the tool can do, never where it does or what it can reach. Both summarize that document. The distinction is the whole ballgame. It is exactly what the slide makes visible. So like Copilot and ChatGPT, if you line them up on the feature checklist, you'll walk away thinking they solved the same problem. But the checklist hides that one thing that actually decides this: the fit. The real difference isn't features, it's where the AI lives in your world. Copilot is integrated in your work. It's embedded right inside the apps your people already use every day. It reasons over your real work context. It respects the security model you already set up. ChatGPT Enterprises sits beside your work. It's a standalone destination. You bring your work to it through prompts, through uploads, through connectors, and it operates outside Microsoft's trust boundary. Both can give you a smart answer. The question is which one fits the way your people already work. Let's make fit concrete because it hinges on the whole conversation. Integration means Copilot already operates inside your tenant. It sees the file, the chat, the meeting a user already has access to, honors the exact permissions you've set, and leaves an audit trail, which is one of the most important things, without anyone moving data anywhere. The side means the work has to travel through the tool. Someone copies, uploads, or wire up a connector. And the moment that happens, you're trusting a boundary you don't control. Both can return a smart answer, but both keep your data inside the walls you already built. That's why fit, not features, is the decision. And it sets up the two concrete differences, or the first two concrete differences that Jeff is about to walk you through. So I'm going to hand it over to Jeff to get started on differences 1 and 2.
All right. Thanks, Tracy. Hoping everyone can still hear me. I had some computer issues this morning. So that cues up difference number 1 perfectly. It's really all about where the AI actually lives. Let me paint a picture. It's a normal Tuesday. You're in a Word document, halfway through a sentence. With Copilot, you just ask, right there, draft this section, rewrite this paragraph, summarize the thread within M365 that this came from. You never leave the page. You never leave the application. Now, let's visualize the other way. You stop, you open a separate app, you paste in your context, you ask your question. You get a great answer. You copy the answer, and you bring it back every single time. Copilot is embedded across Word, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, and Teams. And Teams, in my view, is the big one. Copilot is native inside your meetings. It captures decisions and actions as they're said. ChatGPT isn't even in the room. It simply cannot see the meeting. So I want to show you a video so you can watch how Copilot pulls a decision straight out of a Teams meeting.
I need a quick way to surface unresolved issues from past meetings so nothing gets missed. Let's get started in Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'm selecting the latest available model. I'm running this prompt. What are the unresolved issues from prior meetings of the Momentum Plus meeting series? This response shows Copilot reviewed prior meetings from the meeting series and identified unresolved issues. Now let's switch over to ChatGPT. I'm selecting the same latest available model. I'm enabling all of the Microsoft 365 connectors. I'm running the same prompt that I used in Copilot. This response shows ChatGPT did not reason over the Teams meeting series, so it did not find any unresolved issues. Microsoft 365 Copilot understands and reasons over Teams meetings.
That right there in that minute or so long video is the difference. It's AI in the flow of work, not AI watching from the outside. So the first major difference here is where the AI experience lives. Organizations don't just need powerful AI, they need AI that fits naturally into how their employees already work. Microsoft 365 Copilot is embedded across the M365 apps, including Word, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, and more. That matters because employees don't have to stop what they're doing, copy information somewhere else, ask a question, and then bring the answer back in. This matters even more than it first sounds because the modern workday is already incredibly crowded. The average employee now uses 18 apps in a single day, 18 different apps every day to get their jobs done. Probably everybody on this call can feel the pain of that as you think about all the apps you move around through to get your work done. When you add AI, you have to ask yourself an honest question. Am I reducing clutter or adding to it? ChatGPT becomes one more app to open, one more app to feed with your context, one more app to remember to use. Copilot goes the other direction. It brings the AI to where the work is already happening. And that one design choice is why people actually adopt it. Adoption isn't really a training problem, it's a friction problem. Remove the friction and usage begins to follow. So let's see. So that matters more than it sounds also because ChatGPT is a siloed app in a part of a growing list. So being able to have that as a part of an integrated application framework makes a tremendous amount of difference. So that takes us to difference number 2, context. Here's a simple truth. Any AI is helpful when you hand it information, helpful and powerful. But AI becomes genuinely powerful when it already understands your work. Microsoft 365 Copilot reasons across your emails, your meetings, your files, your chats, and your people all in real time. The engine behind that power has a name, WorkIQ, and it has 3 layers, data, memory, and inference. Let's look at those and make those concrete because these really are the heart of it. Whoops. Think of it like a new hire versus a 10-year veteran. A general AI tool is a new hire. Brilliant, but it only knows what you tell it in that one conversation. WorkIQ is that veteran employee. They've been around for the halls for a decade. They know the institutional knowledge. They know the skeletons in the closet. The data layer means it's your files, it's your emails, your meetings. The memory layer means it learns your style, your habits, and the people you work with most. And the inference layer connects those dots. It anticipates what you'll need next. Let's take a look at how this works with 2 tools.
I'm tracking action items and need to organize them by reporting structure to quickly identify owners. Let's get started in Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'm selecting the latest available model. I'm running this prompt. Summarize this week's Contoso action items from the team reporting to Lisa Taylor from Teams chats and emails and compile it into a checklist. This response shows that Copilot reviewed Teams chats and emails from the team reporting to Lisa Taylor and provided a checklist of this week's action items for Contoso. Now let's switch over to ChatGPT. I'm selecting the same latest available model. I'm enabling all of the Microsoft 365 connectors. I'm running the same prompt that I used in Copilot. This response shows ChatGPT reviewed Teams chats and emails from the team reporting to Lisa Taylor and provided a checklist of this week's action items for Contoso. While ChatGPT correctly inferred some direct reports, it also included other individuals who are outside of the direct reporting structure, pulling in additional action items outside of Lisa's team. Microsoft 365 Copilot understands and identifies organizational structure.
Okay, so WorkIQ, again, the intelligence layer that helps Copilot understand your work to produce smarter, more personalized responses. It brings together data, memory, and inference. The data layer includes Microsoft 365 content, such as files, emails, meetings, and messages, along with connected business systems where appropriate. The memory layer helps Copilot better understand the style, the habits, the preferences, relationships, and workflows for you. And the inference layer helps turn that into context that's more relevant with recommendations, insights, and next actions. The important distinction is this. Microsoft 365 Copilot AI is generally grounded in web data or whatever the user provides. Sorry, without Microsoft 365 Copilot, AI is generally grounded in web data or whatever the user provides. With Microsoft 365 Copilot, responses can be grounded in personal and organizational work data the user already has permission to access. That's what makes the answers feel more specific to the business, the team, and the person doing the work. So again, on this point, you can see WorkIQ most notably when comparing Copilot Chat to Microsoft 365 Copilot. So Copilot Chat on its own, that's the freer version of Microsoft 365 Copilot. Copilot Chat, it's a lot like ChatGPT. It's grounded in the web and reasons over the files you upload, but it lacks the comprehensive organizational context. Then there's the full Microsoft 365 Copilot. It adds the work layer, the WorkIQ, and you literally see it. It's a simple toggle, WorkIQ or not. Leave WorkIQ on, and now it understands your SharePoint, your OneDrive, your meetings, your relationships. So when a leader asks us, can't I just upload the same files or use connectors in ChatGPT? Here's our answer. You can't upload the document, but this is not the same as understanding everything around that document. Who wrote it? Who else is involved? What came before it? What meeting transcripts are related to it? What meetings did you have that are associated with it? What project plans have tasks in it associated with that document? The value is never just a standalone file. It's the context around the file. I'm going to hand it back over to Tracy to pick up from there with difference number 3.
That mute button. Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate it. So the difference number 3 is one of my favorites because it's about the money you've already spent. Most of you have invested heavily in Microsoft 365, the apps, the identity model, the security setup, the way your teams collaborate, all of that foundation, and Copilot builds right on top of it. It's not a new platform you have to stand up, adopt, govern, and from scratch. It makes the Microsoft environment you already run even more valuable. So think about that. You're not starting a new investment. You're extending one you've already made. For a Microsoft standard organization, that's a very different financial conversation. So it's worth spelling out why this lands so differently with finance. Every new platform carries hidden tax beyond the license, a new identity, access model to configure, a new security and compliance review, a new full admin console, just as staff, and then fresh adoption curve to drag people up. Financial issues, especially with Copilot and the understanding of ROI, to make that even more relevant, we just got a question in asking about the cost of value benefit of AI. So starting with that and then going into which one you should move into, start with what you have. Utilize the tools that you have. Utilize, even if you're not using the full M365 Copilot licensing, Microsoft has made it so easy to use AI in your day-to-day with the existing tools without having to buy more. Completely understand the hesitancy to start buying additional tools, but use what you have and get that started. Get them used to using it and wanting more. I can tell you right now, we see so many organizations coming and saying that they want to get their individuals utilizing the free AI tools, chat within all of their tools before they add more. Great, get them loving it. I will tell you, it won't take them long before they say, okay, I want more. I want to do more. I hear and see about the things that others are able to do. So start using that. And it goes the same with the different tools, is utilize what you have. You've got the Microsoft tools with you and you've already invested those. So let's make sure that we are utilizing the platforms that you've already had. That way you don't have to pay for, not just wonder about the ROI, but pay for that additional governance console, learning a new tool and technology, all of those are out the window. You can go in. Now, talking about ROI leads me into that next slide. So we specifically can show you where that value lands. We didn't guess at this. We surveyed 182 people across 9 companies, 6 different industries. Every one of them went through our proof of value program. And I can tell you, some of them in that program, we focused on the free, the basic features and functionality, and then went into the paid one. But here's what came back. The number one time saver is meeting notes and summaries. 25 minutes a week, every single week. And personally, I think that's low. I think it's higher than that, especially with more of what Copilot and Microsoft has been putting behind it. But right behind that number is creating documents in Word and PowerPoint. Again, that's low as well. With the type of documents and PowerPoints that I've been able to create, it's crazy. Summarizing those documents, drafting the emails, then prepping for meetings. But if you look at the pattern, the biggest wins aren't the flashy futuristic stuff. It's the boring, repetitive tasks your people already do all day long. And that's the point, is when you stack a few of these together and you're handing every employee a couple hours back every week, multiply that across the department, and that ROI conversation your leadership actually cares about. So if we try to put the math behind it, let's take just the top 2 or the top few tasks. Meeting notes at 25 minutes, document creation at 24, summarize at 20. We're already stacked past an hour. Most people do these several times every day. So if we call it 2 hours claimed per person across 200-person organization, that's 400 hours a week, the equivalent of 10 full-time employees worth of time handed back every single week. And notice these numbers are credible. They're not flashy, futuristic demos. They're boring, repetitive tasks that happen whether or not anyone's feeling inspired or looking for a way to use AI. It's exactly where the savings compound instead of fading after the novelty wear off. So this is where you get started. Get them wanting more. So one honest caveat that I do want to name out, that reclaimed time only becomes ROI if the leaders redirect it towards a higher value work rather than letting it evaporate quietly. So the real question for the room isn't whether Copilot saves time or has the ROI. It's what are you going to do with that time? And that's exactly what this next poll is. So I'm going to put on the next poll. And while I do that, I just want to give you a quick example. Thank you, Haley. So I was talking to a colleague literally yesterday, and he was telling me about this presentation he had watched recently. And the speaker said, let me show you how I've created a 25-hour day. And he proceeded to show how he had this process that took like 4 to 5 hours each week that he was able to get down to less than an hour with Copilot. That gave him that time back each week to do more things, to see what it was. So with this poll, if you could hand your team 2 hours back, where would it matter most? In those meetings, email, documents, reports, or research and analysis. So looks like, wow, we're looking pretty even on meetings and notes, email, documents and reports. One thing I do want to call out is it doesn't save time, but one thing that we found so often in that survey was the things that you're doing, these meetings and notes, emails, documents, reports, while it does save time to use Copilot, the content was so much better. The quality was outstanding. I personally can tell you that I don't have time to do that stuff. I don't have time to make the nice long email that does a quick summary of our last conversations, new conversations. As a long-running sales manager, I know that that is very important. But as someone that is trying to get on to the next thing, I don't always do it well. Copilot does it for me now, and it's way better than what I've ever done in the past. So on top of saving time, and I don't have to do it because let me tell you, I don't want to do those kind of things. It also does it significantly better. So it's great to see this. Looks like we've got pretty even across the board as we close this out. We've got meeting notes, email, documents, reports, and research and analysis. Pretty solid all the way through with meetings and notes, kind of winning it by a couple. All right, so with that, I'll pass it back over to Jeff, and he can talk about number 4.
All right, terrific. Thanks, Tracy. So difference number 4, this is the one that keeps IT and security teams up at night, and that's the term governance. Here's the good news with Copilot. It respects the controls that your organization, has already built into Microsoft 365. Your permissions, your sensitivity labels, your data loss prevention rules, your compliance settings, it inherits it all. Let's make it concrete. If a person can't open a file today, Copilot will not surface that file to let them open it tomorrow. If a person can open a file, but they can't share that information in any kind of form, Copilot won't let them summarize that information to share it with others. Copilot honors the exact same permissions. Your business data stays inside your tenant. It doesn't leave. And your IT team gets full visibility from the same admin center they already use every day. No new console for them to use. So let's take a look at this in motion. I want to show you Copilot honoring a confidential label, then watch what ChatGPT does with that same document.
I'm preparing a report with confidential data. I need assurance that sensitive information is handled securely. Let's get started in Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'm selecting the latest available model. I'm running this prompt. Synthesize key information from these documents, Tailspin Toys product brief and Tailspin Toys acquisition, into an executive status report. This response shows Copilot recognizes which files I can access and only synthesizes information from the product brief document. Copilot did not provide information from the acquisition document since it's protected by a confidential sensitivity label. Now, let's switch over to ChatGPT. I'm selecting the same latest available model. I'm enabling all of the Microsoft 365 connectors. I'm running the same prompt that I used in Copilot. This response shows ChatGPT did pull information from both documents, including the acquisition document, even though I'm not authorized to access it. Microsoft 365 Copilot enforces sensitivity labels based on your organization's policies.
So that fourth difference is security and governance. Microsoft 365 Copilot respects the controls organizations already use in Microsoft 365, including permissions, sensitivity labels, as we saw there, data loss prevention, identity controls, and compliance settings. Business data stays within Microsoft 365 tenant, and IT has visibility and control through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Now, let's flip that around and be honest about the other side of that same formula for item number 4, because ChatGPT lives outside of Microsoft 365. So it becomes one more platform you have to govern. Your users have to adopt yet another tool. Your admins have to manage it on top of everything else that's already on their plate. It breaks the flow of work with constant app switching. It forces you to build new governance frameworks from scratch, and its connectors reach in and pull your data outside of Microsoft's trust boundary. So the real question isn't just, can it access my data? It's a much bigger one. How much new risk and how much new overhead am I signing up to manage? Because every new platform has a cost. That cost isn't just the license. And in fact, if you really deeply evaluate it, the license is probably the smallest overall cost. It's all of those overhead costs you have to handle with change management, adoption, governance, all of those things that have to get multiplied to handle multiple different platforms. So we saved the very best one for last. Difference number 5, multi-model flexibility. Here's what most people don't realize. Copilot doesn't just lock you into a single AI brain. It gives you multiple of the leading models, OpenAI's and Anthropic's Claude in a single experience. And it automatically routes each task to the model best suited for it. So you don't switch tools to get a better answer. It happens under the hood. In fact, you can even have 2 models argue with each other to create the best possible answer using a tool within Copilot called Researcher. ChatGPT, by its very design, runs OpenAI models exclusively. Here's why it's a big deal. The frontier keeps moving fast. No single model will be the best at everything forever. So a platform that can reach for the right tool out of the toolbox, the right model for the right job, protects you as the technology keeps changing. You're not betting your entire AI strategy on one horse. Tracy, why don't you take back and wrap it up?
Fantastic. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, so we've got the 5 differences all together. The first one is embedded in the flow of work. I want to start off by saying that Jeff had called out, I don't even remember how many tools you said that people are using all at one time, but I can tell you that nobody likes leaving the tool. Like, isn't that one of the number one things that organizations, departments, leadership is always trying to do, is to give that one sense of area where everyone's working. And now you add another tool where not only am I having to go to that tool to do something, I got to pull my work in with it. Now, Jeff did show in that last video and everything that it can select and pull in that information and do what it needs to do, which is a whole nother story that we need to talk about as we go into it. But having more tools is never something that I want to do. I want to have it all into one. So your next one is building that business context. One thing I do want to call out is we talked about waiting and making the decision on the best one and everything. And we've got WorkIQ. Microsoft's got WorkIQ that is rolling out. By waiting and having individuals use Claude, use ChatGPT, they're building their business context in those tools, which is going to make it harder for them to leave them in the future. So as someone that I used ChatGPT personally forever. That was my go-to for my personal life. Work, I always use Copilot, but personal. But it was building so much about me that I was starting to it was easier to use ChatGPT for those things because it knew me on those things. So moving it all to everything I do is Copilot now has a full sense of who I am and what I'm doing. I'm building my own, WorkIQ across it. But if you're using those others, they're building that information in those. So get started, pick one and move with it. It unlocks the value of your existing Microsoft tools. Technology is not cheap. I mean, I don't know how easier I can say that, but technology is not cheap. Setting it up, governing it, managing it is not cheap. So use what you have so that you can continue getting the ROI from those. And then that integrated security management and governance, I can't even begin to talk about the importance of that and having that information in there. We did a webinar, a couple of months ago, about how important it was to have your data ready just for Copilot. I can't even imagine the amount of work to have it ready for ChatGPT and being able to limit and do the things that you would need to do in order to make that secure and manageable and governed across the board. So, and the things that could happen. And it's not even business or company secrets that you could get out, but the little things, like if I wanted to go to ChatGPT and ask how much Jeff makes as the CEO, if that's not in the right spot and it's not done right, I could maybe figure that out. Maybe I should go to ChatGPT. So at the end of the day, you just don't know what they have access to and what they can do. And then moving into that multi-model AI, the very first thing that we did, the first poll that we did was, what are you using? And it was an exact equal split between Claude and ChatGPT, with Copilot being number one with a lot of them. But then the next two were ChatGPT and Claude. You've got them with Copilot. Within these, we showed how you can pick the right one. It'll pick the right one for you if you're unsure, or you can select, or like Jeff said, you can put them against each other, which I enjoy doing sometimes just to see what it does. But you have that multi-model AI flexibility. So it's great to bring everything together and show what it is, and have all of them in those one, with the 5 different differences that we just talked about. So now, I do want to call out that this isn't necessarily the Copilot show. We're a Microsoft partner, so obviously that is what we are focused on. But let's be fair, ChatGPT Enterprise is an excellent AI tool. There are 3 clear cases where it may be a better fit for you. If you are not standardized on M365, which absolutely is a possibility, if your stack is mixed or mostly non-Microsoft. The second is if you want, or if you specifically want a dedicated standalone AI workspace. If there's something that you want done that you don't want woven into your existing apps and into your existing content, then Enterprise ChatGPT is fantastic. And then the third one is software development. So especially for those large engineering teams, they might be a better fit for ChatGPT. So the goal today is never to crown the winner. It's to match your AI investments to your business, your data environment, and then your governance needs. Full strategy across the board. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Jeff to close us out.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. That was great. Let me close us out by taking a moment to establish who you'd be working with here at C5 Insight. C5 Insight is a business-first, people-centric, AI-driven digital transformation consultancy and a trusted Microsoft Cloud Solutions partner. What that means in practice is depth across the whole Microsoft ecosystem. Microsoft 365 and Agentic AI, Dynamics 365 for your CRM, modern work, the Power Platform, and crucially, adoption and change management, because the technology only matters if people actually use it. The thread through all of this is a business-first lens. C5 Insight is committed to measurable outcomes and your long-term success, not technology for its own sake. We live across this entire stack every day, so you're not teaching a partner the basics. You're bringing in people who've already walked this exact path. If you're in the process of adopting or extending AI in your organization, we do have a resource that can help direct your AI transformation journey. We call it the AI Transformation Playbook, and it walks you through practical framework for reducing risk, validating ROI, and moving from pilot activity to production success. Spoiler alert, it's not cookie cutter. There's not one size fits all. We all can find our way to the top of this mountain to a path that's contextually relevant to our organization and our unique situation. The AI Transformation Playbook embraces that. It's designed for leaders who want more than experimentation. It gives you a way to think about readiness, prioritization, adoption, and long-term scale and the governance required to make all of that happen. You can download it at the link here, c5n.co/AI-playbook, if you want to go download it for yourself. If today's session raised questions about your own AI roadmap, this is a great next step for you. Also, feel free to reach out and request the slides. There are a few links to videos that we played that you might find interesting. There are a few links to videos we did not have time to share. We're happy to share a PDF version of the slides with you if that would be helpful to you. Haley, why don't you close us out?
Thanks, Jeff. All right, so before we jump into Q&A, if you can move to that next slide for me, I just wanted to highlight Community Summit North America in Nashville this October. C5 Insight will be there, and we are honored to be presenting 10 sessions, and we would love for you to join us. So if you haven't heard of Community Summit and you want to learn more, or if you've just been procrastinating on registering, you can learn more at c5in.co/summit-NA, and then register with the code C5Insight15 for 15% off your registration.
Or if you just want to go to Nashville, just saying. I mean, it's at the Gaylord in Nashville, which is like, I've never been there, but I've heard it's like the #1 best Gaylord out there. So I'm super excited.
That is a good point. I'm excited to visit that one. Okay, so now we're going to jump into our Q&A portion of today's webinar. Q&A is still open as I ask questions that have already come in, so feel free to still ask, and I will put them in the queue here. So this is actually something that we saw in our poll in the beginning as well, but somebody said that they let their users choose from a list of AI options. They didn't specify which AIs, but they said our users have access to a few AI options. Should we reconsider this decision?
So I'm sure we all have perspectives on that. So multiple of us may jump in. But first of all, full disclosure to this group, at C5 Insight, most of us are using multiple AI solutions, but that is only because we are a frontier firm. It's important to us that we access new features very early on so we can be ahead of our clients, ahead of the market, and make sure we're bringing them the value they're looking for. But our experience is, although frontier sounds exciting, most companies don't actually want to be a frontier company. Go learn about the frontier sometime. A frontier can be a dangerous place to live. Giving people access to multiple LLMs is a little like letting them use different spreadsheet software across your organization. Might a different spreadsheet have better benefits for you in some cases than Excel? Sure, but is that really a wise decision in terms of every way that you can look at it? Or worse yet, what if you had different divisions using different ERP or CRM software and you were having to try to manage all of that on the back end as an IT team? It creates a big mess. So letting people use multiple LLMs, you might be making some of them go a little faster for a little while, but Copilot will eventually catch up. But you're creating a governance, security, and integration dumpster fire down the road. So is there anything inherently wrong with that? No, but just most of you have probably been around this long enough to know when you have many solutions that do the same thing, you create a lot of cost and complexity that becomes very challenging for your organization to manage. And it's been pretty clearly proven now with Copilot's track record that it's not years behind the others. It might occasionally be a few months behind the others, but by the time you adopt it, it's well integrated with everything you already work with. My opinion on that one.
I agree. I also want to call out, my experience. If you're letting them use what they do, they're building that knowledge base in that tool. And if you do then move it, they're kind of starting over. So for a while, ChatGPT knew me better than Copilot. Like it knew exactly, it knew my history. It knew, like, I didn't have to replace different things and stuff or explain things again. It was like, oh yeah, this time when you asked about this. So by moving, it was so much easier when I just like, okay, Copilot for everything, because now it's everything's in that one area. So my easy question, which personally I like to do, I don't like doing long prompts. I could do eventually because it already knew my history. So totally agree. It's going to make it harder for them in the future when you pick.
And, it's also the adoption thing when you think about it. I mean, how many of you can relate to you roll out a great new system that's a clear upgrade over what you were using before, and for a long time you hear, I hate the new system, I want the old system back again. The more you give people access to those tools, the more you're setting up barriers to success for driving Copilot adoption longer term.
Yeah, I think those are great answers. I was waiting for this question. So what about agents? There's been a lot of talk about agents, and it wasn't something that was covered in this webinar. Can both platforms create agents?
Yes. Both platforms create agents. They both have, they both have fantastic agent capability. Let's just be real. The agent capability across either one is great. The difference is how they're connected to the enterprise systems, and again, that governance control. And holy cow, if any of you have ever, you probably have experience with Power Platform back in the day, right? Like building all this stuff. When you give people full access, they just start building whatever, and it can go chaos very, very quickly. So while they both do have those, it would be very easy to go a little crazy on those agents across ChatGPT without having any type of governance behind it. So the way I like to explain it is ChatGPT helps you create intelligent agents. Microsoft 365 Copilot helps you create intelligent coworkers. It's one of the most focused on completing the specific tasks. So the other is designed to participate within your existing systems of work. I can create an agent that's a duplication of Jeff. Versus, having to go in and have that agent that's kind of outside of it, that's doing the specific thing that I've told it to do. So creating that. So it's whether those agents can safely access the information, process, context, everything, just like we talked about with that governance piece.
And the breadth and depth of those agent creation tools is pretty stunning when you look at what you can do just straight with regular Copilot prompting. You can create very light automations and agents, or with Copilot Studio Lite, no code at all, very simple to set up. Copilot Studio, now you can start to not just connect to your context like Tracy was saying, but even bring in things like your existing Power Automate flows can be called from within there, or those skills that you've used to create those flows can be reused to build those out. And if you need to go even deeper, you've got the entire AI Foundry available in Microsoft Azure to do very code-heavy agents. So you have a lot more flexibility from complete newbie to start building light agents to sophisticated long-term developer, building very rich agents, or even building agentic connectors and capabilities that can then be brought back into Copilot Studio for the non-developers to work with. It's a really broad, deep tool set you can use to develop agents when you're using Copilot.
Yeah. Okay, one of our next questions is actually about one of the videos that we demoed. So the question is, you showed a video where Copilot couldn't access a file that ChatGPT could. Shouldn't that be impossible if the user didn't have access?
Great question. Somebody was paying attention. So yes, ultimately, if Copilot could not access something, ChatGPT, the only way ChatGPT should be able to access it is if the user directly dragged and dropped it, shared that particular file with it, but not just via the connectors to Microsoft 365. However, that wasn't exactly the case in that video. That was actually using a purview sensitivity label. So that user actually had read access. This is a document the user could look at, view and read for their own development purposes, but Purview allows you to set other controls, like you can't copy and paste anything out of this document. You can't quote things out of this document. And so if I were a user working within the Microsoft 365 tenant, reading that document, and I said, oh, I want to go copy this little section of the document, you can't do that. And so Copilot looked at that and said, you're not allowed to quote anything out of this document. I can't pull context out of this document for you to share with other people. You can go look at it yourself, but I can't do that for you. ChatGPT doesn't have that insight. All it knows is, hey, you have access to view this document, and I'm going to do anything I want to do with that document. It doesn't honor that restriction that Purview puts on it.
I think that's a really helpful clarification there for anybody else who might have been wondering the same thing within that video. So thank you for that. Okay, well, we have about 2 minutes left until the hour, so we're going to go ahead and close down today's webinar. We are so grateful for everyone who spent their afternoon with us. We know that your time is valuable and you chose to spend it with us, so we really appreciate that. As Jeff said, if you're interested in the slides and would like links to the other videos that we didn't have time to play today, Jeff and Tracy's emails are on the screen here, and this webinar will also be up on YouTube tomorrow if you would like to email either of them for a copy of this deck. we hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon and can attend a future webinar soon.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.